process, in terms of extending my jurisdiction, it's a matter for Deeper or the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform, but that will be on the recommendation of the Department of Justice.
It seems to me it's a very important request, because the longer the delays go on, it's wrong for the asylum seekers in the first place. But also it's allowing a vacuum to develop where the most appalling attitudes are being expressed by a small number of people. So I think it's important that EU are enabled and empowered so that the system is what it's supposed to be, which is a quick, efficient system to deal with applications for asylum.
Yes.
Short term. I have the report from the Controller and Auditor General. We're approaching 20 years, aren't we, of a direct provision system that was supposed to be temporary. And so when it's not temporary, and when there's minimum communication from a department, then a vacuum develops, which is extremely dangerous. That's my opinion. So what you're requesting is very important because, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, sorry. I just wanted to make the point. The Ombudsman offices across Europe are cooperating on the issue of asylum and immigration because it's become such a pressing issue and because it's an inter-country issue. So we've been looking to work together with colleagues and to gain some sense of what's happening. We have seen many other colleagues facing threats, their offices facing threats, because of their work in support of refugees and asylum seekers in their country. The issue of populism and the issue of the antipathy towards asylum seekers and immigrants is one that's affecting, I think, the whole of discourse, the whole of public discourse across Europe. It's not an Irish issue, as you well know. And I think it's very important, and I will lend my voice to this. I'm very reluctant normally to speak beyond the casebook, but the reality is that we as a country need to be properly providing for people who come to us as asylum seekers and as refugees. And as a country, we need to find ways of welcoming them and integrating them. And I think our work as an office will be directed towards dealing with them, the issues they're facing, and helping them to find their way to integrate into our communities. As somebody who lived abroad for many years myself, in a country that once was not very receptive to Irish immigrants, I think it really is incumbent upon us to make sure that we behave in the kind of way that we would have wanted to be, that we treat people in the way that we ourselves would have wanted to be treated when we lived and worked abroad.
I agree with you totally, Mr. Tyndall. I agree with you totally, without any reluctance or hesitation. However, it is equally important to say that when a vacuum is created and when information isn't forthcoming to a local community, then comments are made by a small group of people. So there's a role for us as politicians, there's a role for your office, and there's certainly a role for the government and the department in relation to... Now, you talked about access to GPs, and I think PSSN numbers are...
Yes,
they were issues that were raised in a different way by the local community in Galway. I don't want to go parochial, but I want to talk just generally. Access to small... if the community... Actually, I'll repeat what was said, which is a very positive thing. They said we would give the shirt off our back to help refugees and asylum seekers. So I'd like to zone in on that as a challenge to the government and as a challenge to the department to build on that, what came out of Oughterard, leaving aside the other stuff, that they want to work and that they're open, but the manner in which it's being done is difficult. That's part of the problem in relation to communities that have lost essential services. Now, this is unusual. I'm going no further than that, but just to say that it would help if there was better communication, certainly.